Hey guys, Bowie here, and these things I've learned with Liquid.Miracle's Lifestealer in 7.13. The game starts pretty high octane. Note that Miracle does not learn Rage to get the rune here. He trusts his Shaker to stun in time, and overall learning Rage to get the rune is a bad idea. This hero is very low armor and suffers in lane if he doesn't have the sustain from Fist. It's a great skill to trade with the enemy as he gets the stairs. Note how he waits in the high ground to make use of Fist. Those high HP and low armor heroes are what Lifestealer likes to play with, and the end result is that Miracle has the same HP he had when he was in the high ground, but each of those heroes lost like pretty much 25% HP. The reason this hero is so good in lane is that he's a simple man. He doesn't care if the enemies harass him, since he can always trade. He doesn't care about pulls because his base damage is awesome, and he can always regen later hitting creeps. Sand King draws aggro here, and you can see that Miracle doesn't want that to happen, but it was too late. He tries to deny aggressively, but luckily his team already pulls and the lane will be equalized. He holds some creeps in place, and there you go. Now he has 2 extra creeps pushing against him and knows that he owns the lane. We see a pretty neat trick with the Quelling Blade drop. Lifestealer is one of those heroes that have extra damage with a passive, kinda like Anti-Mage. So if you check his stats, he has more than 75 damage if you count the Quelling Blade, and that's not even counting the passive. But since the passive depends on creep HP, he actually drops the Quelling Blade for the first attack and gets the CS afterwards. Since this hero is quite fast, he also snatches the Underlord kill, so that's pretty cool. Since our boy didn't draw aggro when going for the chase, the creep wave still beautifully located. With that kill he completes his treads in one go, and since he was denying aggressively in his lane, he can go for this kill without hurting the creep equilibrium as well. It's also interesting to note that since he has supports that offer a lot of damage, he gets the second point in open wounds. Tread switches to cast it and bam. When he gets back, the creep equilibrium is still nice and tidy, but one range creep from Phoenix pool gets there, so note how he addresses that first. And once more, with their rotations, Underlord dies. He tread switches the open wounds and doesn't even bother casting Rage since it's clearly not necessary here with the Fissure block. Unfortunately though, since he was not there to fix the lane, it starts to push, but that kill forced rotations and Underlord has no TP to make use of those creeps, so that's okay. As Miracle tries to fix the lane, his Phoenix gets engaged, and you can't really see here, but Sand King committed Burrow Strike. And that's another easy kill for Miracle. He just walks up to the Sand King and this time commits the Rage since Burrow Strike cooldown is relatively low, and he gets that one. It gets to a point where Miracle starts pushing the lane aggressively, and that gives him the chance to farm the large camp, increasing his GPM. A good idea when there is only one spawn or a double stack is to attack the small creeps a little bit so that you infest the large creep when you lost a ton of HP. If there's a stack and you infest the creep immediately, you're going to finish the camp being lower HP than when you started. Another thing we have to mention is how Miracle tread switches to agility when he's attacking creeps. He went for a very heavy on rage and open wounds build, which for many players would in turn result in them being lower HP in lane. But since Miracle is a god of creep aggro, and on top of that he turns to agility treads when attacking creeps, he's constantly full HP anyways. Another thing to note after that is Miracle infesting a catapult. Not only the DPS from the catapult at this stage is slightly higher than what Lifestealer would provide, the creeps stop aggroing the catapult and start dealing damage to the tower, so that's pretty cool. At this stage, so close to the radiance, he doesn't want to fight with his buddies, so he just keeps doing his thing. Even gets a catapult deny at the end, but disengages since Tro and Sand King eventually TP there. Since his support Phoenix is the most beautiful player in the world, he made this awesome small camp stack for Miracle to farm. He wanted to leave the last hits to Miracle, and note how he's on Agi treads now. The extra armor is pretty useful too, since there's a lot of creeps there and he only has 1 point in Feast. At this point, you're probably thinking why Radiance Lifestealer in the first place, especially if you never played the style of the hero. They have this Phoenix and Miracle could just get armlet and start killing things, and that's true. But there are 2 reasons for Radiance Lifestealer Lifestealer becoming popular. The first one, and more obvious one, is that it scales better. In a world full of battlefield trolls and voids and terror blades, the standard armlet Lifestealer a lot of the times falls flat after the 25-35 minute mark. The second reason is the talent revamp that the hero got. With evasion at level 20, move speed at level 15, and HP or attack speed at level 10, you create this bulky monster that soaks damage and can re-engage in fights. In a normal Lifestealer game, especially if everything is even, if you can't kill someone in your first rage duration, a lot of the times you don't have time to cast another one and you just die. With this radiance, everyone deals less damage to you, it allows you to go in and out of fights, and since you last for so long, the radiance has way more value. As I explained this, check Miracle's crispy play here. This is one of the reasons you want to get one then threads before the radiance. It gets to a point where you're close to finishing the item and everyone wants your booty. Since he saw the firestorm taunt, he knew people were there, so he rages, infests, and if he wants to re-engage, he's going to be full mana and HP, pretty much, whereas without those items, you would be dead and unable to fight whatsoever. You can clearly see how Miracle wants to keep being tanky in case Radiant re-engages, and as soon as he sees them with this ward, he goes back to Agi to regen more. With the Radiance completed, they smoke straight away. Note how he turns the Radiance off. A lot of people don't do that, and if there's enemy wards around the jungle, the fact that the creeps are running around will give your gank away, and that's a dead throw. One of the big weaknesses the Lifestealer has is his lack of armor, and that's why Solar Crest or the Medallion is the item of choice after the Radiance pretty much every time. It makes you hard to gank, but it's also extra damage when you're sure you can commit to a target. The item also gives you evasion if you commit to the Solar Crest, and the mana regen is pretty nifty. You can also farm faster since you can draw aggro from Ancients and just take the armor away from Ancients and creeps before the Radiance aura reaches them. Be aware though that you lose the armor, so if you're afraid of being ganked, you shouldn't be using it so aggressively. The Radiance is also great versus TA, and knowing that TP top, Miracle infests the Phoenix, even though his Medallion was not there yet. He makes sure to turn the Radiance off, and the bird gives them an easy kill. The fight keeps evolving, and the throw is another core that falls. Radiance Lifestealer is also good because he's durable, but gets kited. So even if you're not right-clicking, at least you're dealing damage, similar to Wraith King. Unfortunately though, his OD didn't want it to join the fight, and Sand King with his Blink Dagger gets Miracle by surprise. He had Rage but couldn't cast it. A lot of the times versus trolls, what you see from Lifestealers is Solar Crest into Sange, and then you disassemble the Solar Crest to get a Halberd. So I'm surprised Miracle didn't went for it straight away. I guess he just wanted to farm and fight as best as possible, so the Ascendant Jasha is definitely better for that. And you can clearly see the power of the Radiance Lifestealer versus TA here as well. The armor definitely helps manning up, and while Radiant got Roshan, they were never able to properly use the Aegis. Afterwards, keep watching Miracle's play. He has vision of Sand King top, so the way he finds to get the kill is infesting the Brewmaster so he doesn't get stunned. He had no rage, and it's tough to dodge the Burrow Strike, so he waits until Sand King commits, and that's another one. Afterwards, Warlock for some reason felt like he could de-push the wave, but gets destroyed too. And this is another power of the Radiance Lifestealer. Since you get the move speed talent, you have mana regen from the Medallion and the Wand, you can always fight. You can get a kill after kill after kill, while also having way better lane push than the normal Lifestealer, so you can get objectives faster. Another thing to have in mind when playing Lifestealer is how you commit rage and open wounds in mid-game teamfights. It's very rare to see both being committed at the same time, just because of how vulnerable you become. For instance, when Sand King shows up here, pay attention how Miracle plays. He walks up to Sand King without committing anything. You're so durable that you're in control of which spells Radiant has to cast. Even after Fissure, he doesn't use it because Burrow Strike has shorter cooldown and you create a timing window where you can get engaged. But afterwards, he re-engages with Rage, and it makes more sense since they already have a slow. And since he saved open wounds, he has the sustain to main fight TA here, and that's another tower for the die. With Sanji and Yasha, you just chase people down to the ends of the earth and keep watching. Underlord tries to halt the push, and this time he pops Rage and Open Moon because there's no counter initiation after the Rage, but he didn't consider the Glimmer. Regardless, keep watching. When throw initiates, Miracle has the possibility of using Infest, and with the old Lifestealer, a lot of the times the Infest was used to engage, and since he has it here, he buys enough time to cast Open Wounds not only killing Troll, but Underlord too. Obviously, the OD factor allows him to be full mana, but really, the strength of this build is being less kited and fighting non-stop. You don't even need to fight as much as Miracle is fighting this game, but if it works, why not keep going? You're always full HP anyways. You might think that Miracle just got a free lane or whatever, but the game is actually pretty even though they're taking tier 3s right now. It's just that the Lifestealer is super pesky with this build. Notice how not having to use Armlet to have more damage allows Miracle to survive the epicenter, and not only that, knowing that the spell is on cooldown, he dives TA and aggressively uses the medallion. He knows he can out lifesteal that hero, and after every fight, he's always ready to fight, because even though he's not full HP, I mean, he's been fighting for 4 minutes. Raiding is missing a ton of heroes, and that's just enough to hit the towers, and that's also game. I would like to have a longer duration game for this build, but I couldn't find one. Hope this was enough for you to understand more about this new style. Want to know what's happening in my life? Follow me on Twitter. If you want to watch crispy casts or me playing Dota, follow me on Twitch. I'm actually casting for the Super Major NA qualifier, so I won't be streaming too much, at least until Friday. So follow me on the PGL stream, please. If you want some spoilers of what I'm doing or what's the next video, follow me on Instagram. I try to keep that social platform pretty updated. If you want to talk with people that really care about Dota and you want to know what's going on, join our Discord channel. The link is down below. Oh, of course, this video is sponsored by Pvgna. Those guys are great. They have a huge library of videos. If you really commit to watching those videos, I'm pretty sure you can improve tenfold in Dota. And yeah, guys, this is it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.